Yo, what's going on, chat? My dogs just made their way in. Sweet. I think we are all set. Good to see everybody. Glad you're here. Got my beanie on today. It's cold outside here in Texas, which is kind of an unusual thing for us. We'll be doing some Raycast development today, some more work on sesh. Looks like we got some comments. What's going on? Hey, 911. 911's here, everybody. How's your day going? Or night, or wherever you are. All right, so we're gonna, let's see, we're gonna get Raycast developer. Let's get that open today. So this should be good. I'm gonna do a little bit of screen sharing this way today. Let's share the screen. So this is what you're gonna see today. All right, so I've made a whole bunch of progress. I don't know how well you can see me. We can kind of bring this up a bit. What do we think? 35%. There we go. Hello. Sweet. Looks like more people are jumping in. Glad to see you. Glad you're here. All right, cool. I think I think I went mute for a second. Sorry about that. So I've been working with Raycast. And so we can see here that when we choose one of these items, well, look at that, it's working. And if I choose like sesh, we can see it working, but it only partly works. So it says cannot connect to session. And so there's some discrepancy right now that we got to work through. But I'm pretty cool to see that we can just get all of our projects here, right, using Zoxide. And then at the top, we show all the tmux sessions. So all the hard work on the port has been going well. Something that I also really like is that I can do sesh connect, and I can say, hey, I want to try ZF instead of FCF. And that is a fuzzy finder alternative. And it prioritizes the name of the file over just matching random characters. I think even sesh here, this one might not match quite the same, but I was dealing with, what was that? New M. So new A, here was a good one. So this in UA, technically this matches before in U/ax in fuzzy finder. So if we do FCF, so if I do new A, oh, now it's going to play nice. All right. The funny thing about fuzzy finder is it will just match all the strings. And if one shows up before the other, oh, I know why we got to do no sort. you can see that if I do NUA, it matches to main, but if I do ZF, it matches to AX. And that's because AX is the beginning of this kind of segment, and it's just a little bit smarter. And so that has been something that I've been experimenting with and enjoying so far. What's up, 9? Okay, so yeah, you're seeing this bug. I'm seeing this as well. So for now, I've been merging like new features. Like I'm not putting a crazy amount of thought into it, only because I know I'm porting it over to this new project. So yeah, I totally get it. You can create an issue. I don't know if we'll go through that much effort. I'm getting really close. So the progress that I can share here is that sesh is pretty close to being ready. And I have some ideas of implementation, and I would love for people to give some feedback today as we go through some of this, because basically, let's kind of get me all straightened out here. Basically, we're going to be able to work with this in a way that we drop the session manager. I want you to like brew install sesh, and I want you to go into your dot files, and I want you to basically do something like this. So you're going to sesh connect, and what are you connecting to? Well, you can make a pop-up. So FCF tmux is a great solution for that, and -p, and you can size it however you want. And you can add no sort, which I recommend. You can add a border, which is up to you. You can add a prompt, which is also up to you. And you can add some bindings, which I have tab and shift tab, which lets me kind of get through these. And so these are a lot of the features that were sort of obfuscated with like tmux variables. They were also obfuscated with like bash variables that you would have to set. And there's not a whole lot of use in doing that anymore. And so this is kind of the approach I want to make. So let me know, chat, if you love that idea, hate that idea, and that's kind of the direction I've been going. And so this just becomes one line. I mean, you have to go to your tmux file anyway. But let's do some Raycast development today. That's what I'm excited about. So one issue that I've been finding is I get this spinner, which at this point, it's like not deciding to end, and I don't know why. But if we go to sesh, connect to sesh, we see that sort of spinner lives forever, and I don't know what that's about, so that's one thing I need to fix. The other thing is it keeps kind of consistently throwing this error where it's unable to open the project. And I can't figure out why it's failing. Because it's supposed to like completely close the session when it errors out. And so it seems that there's probably some sort of make session error that's happening here. And so that's what we'll work through today. And I can show you guys around Raycast development. It's pretty simple, but it's been fun so far. So it is going to go in the Raycast extensions repo, which will make it available to us in the store. And so we should be able to search for sesh in the future, and we'll get a result. I have to make a PR. I don't know how long it's going to take to officially get that started. But we have like basic things like assets and metadata, and the source directory holds all the source code, of course. And then all of this stuff is sort of built in by Raycast. They got get ignores and ESL rlints and pretty RCs, and there's this Raycast env, which this is probably something that I want to play around with. What's up, Andres? So this is something that I need to work on. Oh, this file's auto-generated. Yeah, so we don't touch that. TS config, all the stuff that you'd expect. And then for now, it's just a single connect command. And so the way this works is here's our exported default React component, and we render this list. And the list comes from, this comes from Raycast's API components. And then I'm mapping through all the results and they become a list. And then when you choose that list, you can take an action. And so the default action is to connect to the session that you select. So I'm getting this weird element error, and I don't know what that's about yet. I copied some code from some examples and didn't run into the issue when I was using the example code. In fact, sessionizer, we're going to see here, this one. I don't know if this exists anymore. I might need to tmux sessionizer. So this project is doing a good job at, it's basically the same thing, mapping on a list. There's a fragment sort of wrapping this, so I don't know if I need to add that back. And maybe it's a lock file. There could be other things. What's up, Ian? Sesh, let's go. Let's do it. And so my point right now is to try to figure out what these errors are about. And I don't know if that fixes that. I wonder if I can just like literally do that on both. I feel like I tried this already. Maybe it goes on the outside. Element is not assignable to React node. Yeah, so I don't know what this was about. It's been annoying to say the least. And there've been some basic examples out here. Types React can be upgraded. So that could be it. Maybe we update this. Is that it, really? Oh, geez. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, so that means we can build, right? Hey, we can build. All right, I haven't been able to build all day. And then we can connect to sesh. Look at that little icon. Have you guys seen that? Do you guys like the background? Is that kind of fun? I've got this new logo that I've been playing around with Midjourney. So that's the idea, like lightning, like it's fast. The cosmic thing is kind of fun. And I have found so far that we're still kind of dealing with, it looks okay small. I know it's going to be real small for you on stream. And we can pick an item and look at that, it works. It probably was the TypeScript errors, to be honest. So we can pop this up and we can pull up another project and we can switch projects and we can go to sesh and look at that. It's working super well. So that's a win for me, for sure. What do we do when things are working? Well, we make sure to commit. So I've sort of been promisifying things. I borrowed some of the logic from a tmux session tool that's already installed on Raycast. And the code wasn't all that organized in my opinion. So no shade to the person that wrote it, but it was just sort of very procedural and just kind of doing what it was doing. And I was like, I would love to have a better solution here. So I spent some time upgrading this stuff. And so we might as well just commit. So fix, build, and working plugin. We might as well. This is a huge repo, by the way. If anyone knows, yeah, no, that's the idea, Ian, is I just kind of took it and spun it around. And I also did things quite differently than they did. So you'll see that you can choose what to open with. And so you can choose any application. You can say, I want the terminal, right? And if we do that, then when we run it, it will literally open the terminal, which is great if that's your application of choice. But in this case, WesTerm is my terminal of choice. And so I really want to play around with this idea still that you can bring your own. This is any application you have installed on your computer. So as new terminal emulators come out, people can pick whichever one they want. I had a huge issue. So right now we're not doing a lot of coding, but I've been working on this for quite a bit this week. And when you call tmux attach and you're in Raycast, tmux will throw an error saying, hey, this isn't a terminal. I don't know how to, I can't attach. And so I was running into that issue for quite a long time. But I think we're getting to a fairly stable place here. I've been dealing with a lot of this. I need to commit. tmux commands. I've been learning a whole lot about Go, so this is just sort of exciting to get here and to show you guys what I've been up to so far. But let's talk about where we are. So let's kill this. I figured most things out, yes. I don't know what thing you're particularly talking about, but I figured out pretty much everything. I think I just fixed that bug, although here we go. Couldn't connect to session. That's one of those things that tmux lists. It seems that the session was created, and I don't know if there's a way around this. The session was created, but we couldn't switch to it. So there's a lot of edge cases here. Dude, hell yeah. So you're loving Go. I love it. Yeah, it's been good so far. I've only put maybe 20 to 50 hours on Go, so that's not very much, all things considered, but it's been really refreshing so far. So let's just imagine. This is probably what we need to work on today. Let's imagine that that's closed. So there is no WesTerm. WesTerm doesn't exist. We'll go ahead and close some apps. If I were to launch this tooling, it opens WesTerm, but it doesn't attach to the program. Oh, look at that. I've got some weird new issue I've never seen before. Term not set. Interesting. And so there's something about this isn't your entry point. In fact, this didn't even work, right? We run it again and it creates a session, but there's definitely there's something wrong with this project. Term environment variable not set. So this is the kind of stuff that we got to play with now. What can I set the I know what this usually is. I don't know if it's xterm 256 is what we typically set. Well, and so this is a fish shell, is where it's supposed to be set. That's my shell of choice. So I'm gonna have to play around with this for sure. When we're outside of tmux and there is no session, it seems to generally be having a problem with being able to connect to it automatically. Oh, look, it's still rendering this error. So I know my font is good. there should be a fallback font, symbols nerd font mono. And is term set here? Term? I could set it there, but there's definitely some funkiness going on. And maybe I need to download other terminal emulators and see how it reacts. But that is definitely a problem. So there's my terminal emulator. That seems to be one of the issues, which I fixed. So that just means I need to fix set term on was term directly. And for now, there's the sh. We do some basic things there, but I found some improvements on how to go about developing things. But let's see, sesh could not connect to session. All right, so let's sort of start breaking this down. Raycast, sesh, could not connect to session. All right, so I know what this is. Couldn't connect to session. That's because one of these things failed. I don't know which one. If we do it in development mode, we will get feedback. So now I can new main, and if we take a look, make session errored. And so that means it was a new session. So new session. And make session came out. And something, oh, I know. So I've actually been noticing that Raycast hates it when standard out gives you output. It like craps out. So that's been interesting. Interesting, locale error. Why am I getting all these new errors today? For on English, for English US. I think we're going to go ahead and switch to this again and set this value. LC all equals find E, visually find 8, wrap, double quotes, please. All right. So I don't know if it's worth it to force tmux to be attached. I'm not thinking that that's really a big issue here. We really just want to be able to choose something like main, and we want to switch to that terminal and reset the session picker. So funny enough, you have to manually close the window, and I want to clear the search bar because I found that this was sort of weird and unintended to like dot files, right? And if you pull this back up, dot files is still there, and so that kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion, of the way that this works and the whole purpose of it. And so let's see. That seems to be working. Let's build. Let's go to sesh and build. And we're still getting that error. Yeah, we are. All right, let's go reconnect. Man, I don't know what this is about. Oh, it's bash. Okay, that's a new error, but that's all right. And so now we should be able to switch without there being any big issues. And this is meant to be a bit of a like supporting character for the like a supporting actor for this workflow. It's not really meant to be the main thing. And so I'm pretty happy with it so far. Let's go back to sesh and look at that. And you can do this sesh and it works just fine. So there's been a bit of experimenting with exec command. Let's just go to the smart session manager. And we can see here that I'm getting something is causing this to echo, I don't know, an empty value. And so this needs to be fixed. Absolutely, this needs to be fixed. Yeah, so if we're in our browser, as long as our terminal emulator is attached to tmux, which most of the time it is, when we do that, it will switch to that application with the session that you chose in the selection. So it sort of does this tmux switch client, and that can happen outside of being on the terminal. You can call that whenever you want. And so let's see, print error, print error, print error, print error, print error. I don't want these. Oh no, I do. Print error. These are all fine. So now I need to play around with, I think it's lovely. I think it's nice. Well, maybe it's copy mode. Oh, I guess it's not all the time. Let's see what happens if I open this up. Oh, it seems to be all right. Okay, maybe that was like a red herring. Okay, cool. So let's code something. Let's do some code. I know that I've been talking about all the things I've done, but I'm going to grab a stool and we're going to get to it. Excuse me. All right. So my clone feature that we've just been working on, I know, Ian, you've been around when I built that. A few of you were here. So that's something that needs to be worked on. We probably need to do some sort of audit, and we probably need to be realistic about the README and giving actual instructions, and then go release. I might as well start this PR and see what it takes. All right, add sesh extension. Boom. And we'll see how long it takes to get this up and running. We will take a screenshot of this, give it some coloring. Ooh, backdrop. I still got to work on that loading thing. I don't know quite what that's about yet. And I guess I can do this stuff later. It's kind of boring to do on stream, but someone was telling me about, we got to all-star the repo. Let's go. Let's do it, Ian. Totally. So we're going to want to kind of release all this to the public. These guys seem to say, I was doing custom themes. So I guess at this point, it's a matter of like choosing a dark theme, saving it. That's nice. Yeah, this may be something I want to play with still. So if we do take a look at what this is doing, basically there's a list is loading, and if I set this to false, we can see, oh, I gotta set this to dev mode. When we choose it, it kind of still is in loading state. And then when we come back to it, sometimes it decides that it's not going to be in loading. So that's kind of the problem I've been dealing with. I'm like, why is it sometimes the loading state and sometimes not? And I don't have an answer to that yet. I don't think this is needed anymore. But it definitely continues to load, even when it's set to false. I set a default to false. I don't know if I need to like remove all this stuff completely. Interesting. Yeah, so check that out. If we choose it, it's loading. And if we choose connect to session, it's still loading. I just don't know what that's about. I don't know why. It sits in its loading state. So we can, I guess, ask loading. Oh, that's interesting. Items undefined. So that would be like, instead of is loading, we would say sessions equals undefined. And this is an array of strings, but it starts out as undefined. And I believe when I set the sessions, I say, give me the sessions or give me undefined, meaning if there aren't any, then I can just run that. But there's going to be a new error. Fun. Oh, yeah, so it can't map if there is no thing. So I guess I can't completely get rid of that. So sessions length, like no sessions length. How about that? It just wants to spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. Yep, so it like kind of resets itself for some reason. Is it waiting for something to happen? That's what I don't get. I'm like, is it like thinking something's going to happen and then not? Because I don't have any loading state. There's literally no loading state anywhere here. So if there's no loading state, then what's causing the spinner? Because you want to see this connect to session. That's the whole point. Build succeeded 13 seconds ago. Show loading indicator. I don't know. I don't know, chat. So if we clear this, it should be... let's try this. So we've got clear local storage and cache. We've got clear assets cache. We can quit Raycast. Quit Raycast. Yes, I want to quit Raycast. And it still loads. If I pick something, does it go away? No. If I pick something else, does it go away? No. Weird. All right, let's see if there's another way to do this. So there is GitHub issues. So we can GitHub extensions. All right. Endless loader. Endless spinner. Always loading. Yeah. So this guy's probably doing an action. Oh, that's a different loader though. Sadly more available, adding this. Nope. Command stuck in loading state. Dude, totally. Disabling and rename. Yeah, this is what we want. Reload script directories. Reload script directories. Let's do it. Refresh apps and settings. Let's do it. I love it. And then we get the loading state. You gotta love Raycast extension development. Sorry, chat, that this isn't more exciting. This is development, right? Is solving weird, innocuous, sort of edge case stuff. So why would this always be running? Why would this always be running? I know that it returns what it needs to return because we get the results. Nothing else should be happening right now. Some things that I've done is I've like removed, uninstall. We can import, what is it? Manage. I can like remove it, uninstall. This one I can uninstall and import. So you kind of import it and you tell it what file it lives on. We want the guide for later. All right, this is managing the session, but this is just sesh. Do I need to rebuild it? I can rebuild it. And look, it says, hey, in order to move forward, you have to choose which terminal you want, which is, this is all built in with Raycast, which is cool. They have this feature. And so we can tell it, okay, well, I want Western, please. And look at that, it still does it. So can I like, let's go ahead and put this back in development mode. feel like I can reset the file, and is loading as a value. And I don't know if it should finish this. We logged finally, and we're going to see finally show up almost immediately. Is it like a race condition? Is it too fast? I do not know. Maybe I can't do finally. Maybe it doesn't like finally. Maybe it needs to be here. It's like when I select it, it wants more to happen. Here's the command. I don't know, something like that. Mode view. So when you give it the name matches the file in the source code. And then we have our is loading false. Does it need to be true? Wonder if it's this thing. Maybe it's the toast. It is the toast. Damn. So then we need to look at toasts. So the toast should only happen with the show toast command. Is show toast built into the API? Probably. Ah, more bad development. This was something that someone else was doing. So this animated must be it. Style animated. Toast style failure. And title couldn't get sessions. That was it, chat. And then I still want to do this. So this becomes that. And what was this? Message is. Let's get rid of those. That was absolutely it. Jeez. Well, now we know we shouldn't get toast. This is here to connect. So you don't do it this way. You do it this way. And this is failure. Couldn't connect. And then we will do this again. Let's go to the T. Let's go to the double quotes. Man, I'm feeling fast today. So I'm gonna still do this. Catch. Finally makes sense because it doesn't really matter if it's, what is this? Error. Finally, is loading goes here. Okay, there's an error here. Type of thing equals that. What are we missing? Are we missing one of these curly braces? Oh, we probably have an extra curly brace. Yeah, too many. You got it. And then what does this want? This wants a string. And error message. I guessed wrong. Okay, so it was this was basically show toast animated. That's what was causing it. I have found that on my super fast computer, there's very little lag when it comes to this. I think we'll start at false and set it to true, although sometimes they were setting it to true at first. So there's no flash. Yeah, that should be fine. All right, so we're gonna fix spinner and less loading spinner because of bad toast. So typically on the CLI level, I've been doing a pretty good job at saying, okay, standard out needs to be a string. Like we need to give you a string if we error out. There should be a message. So that's been the protocol so far on my side, like on when I've been working with the sesh CLI commands themselves. And so that is that. Oh, let's get rid of that. This is open somewhere, isn't it? Yes. We need to read the guidelines. Chat, did you think in just an hour or less that we'd be able to submit this? Sesh is what we want to call it. Smart terminal sessions connector. Something like that should be fine. Oh, this is the smart instant terminal session management. That's kind of what I've called it. What do you guys think? Do you like this name? Dude, it's so good, DX. And the thing is that this happens anywhere. I could be like, I don't know, I could be like in Discord telling all of you what's going on and be like, oh, I want to go to my dot files if I can do that, boom, tmux. And I've already started thinking of like the layout management stuff we've been talking about. There's a whole lot of new opportunities with this being a CLI and there being a sesh list. We can put whatever we want in that list. And if we create certain formatting, there's no reason why we can't allow there to be other custom things going on, which I'm excited about. All right, so where are we at? Yes, I read. Oh, well, it's live. Oh, I can check this, can't I? I read this. What does it say about publishing? Validate your extension. Publish your extension. To share the extension with others, navigate to the extension directory and run this. Okay. Waiting for review. After you've opened the pull requests, we're going to do that. All right, fine. Let's run this. Docs. Okay, is anyone going to beat me to it? Oh, too late. No. And we will get the password manager in here. And we will put the numbers. Too late. Too late, chat. You didn't see that. It gets my fork. It puts some things together. User.name. So So we want to get config set user.name to Josh Medeski. Is that actually going to work, or is it going to fail again? All right. Now we publish. Oh my goodness, it is slow. Global, yes. How have I not set these? This is a new computer. Are you ready, chat? Send me emails, go. You can add me to that newsletter that you didn't want to subscribe to. Okay, there you go. Getting fork, preparing clone, pulling new contributions, no new contributions. Yes, that's because I haven't done anything yet. Waiting for review. After you've opened the pull request, we'll review your extension and request changes when required. Only accepted. Cool. So they're going to give me feedback. All right, that's fine. And I figured that would be the case. But it's going to be great that you can just go to Raycast and you can type in store and you can type sesh and you're going to get the cool little lightning bolt icon and the description and name, and you're going to be able to see how many people have been doing it. You'll even see me, which is kind of fun. Nice. And then I can share it. Oh, nice. Once it's published. Oh, that's sweet. So I'll be able to share this to people. That's it. Build works. I checked that the assets used by the README are placed outside of the metadata folder. Assets used by the README are placed. Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing that yet, but I do need to Raycast extensions sesh. Look at all these. It took forever to download this, by the way. Metadata. We're just going to go Ray01. And we're going to right click and go ahead and convert this to a PNG if that's what everybody else has. Sure. Congratulations, your team is currently on holiday. All right, well, they'll be back. And then what is this changelog error? Missing changelog. Oh, okay. Changelog, fee 0.0.1. I know it said the second, right? And it is past the second. Let's see, are there any other good extensions? Change logs. What are people doing? They got the name of the change log, and then they got the title and the date. So we'll do something like our sesh initial version is 10/1/2024. Has anyone written down 2024 yet? It's been interesting. I have a few times already. All right, so we're going to add update images and add change log. I don't know if they're going to want me to push, but I can push. Oh, that's interesting. Super Whisper. What is Super Whisper? Super Whisper. Offline voice to chat. New. Cool. So this is how it works. You can see I'm going to check the mode, and I'm going to choose this mode, and then I'm going to record. So what? It started recording, change modes, open settings, requires installing Super Whisper. I've already looked at this. My buddy who's in our Discord server, Brandon, he uses this for stuff. So what you...
Here's a quick performance comparison of dictated messages versus typed. I'll start out with typed.
Oh, does it literally type as you speak? That's cool. So he's going to do a typing test, and he's going to not be great.
Well, so it took me about 49.
He just wants to show off at this point. I know this is a very cool tool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you now because I never stopped dawdling like an 8-year-old on a spring morning on his way to school. Anything can make me stop and look and wonder, and sometimes learn.
And it's going to be like 100% accurate, right? It's got to be. Like these tools have gotten so good now.
So we can see here the recording itself is 12 seconds long, and it took almost 3 seconds to process on the largest model that Super Whisper has. I don't see any issues here.
Very cool. So 100%.
Like the source. So, I mean, in total, that's about 15 seconds, which, 15, 3.3 times. I consider myself a fairly fast typist. This is definitely not my best,
Cool. It is cool to see. Have you guys seen the new emojis AIs? We've been talking about this a little bit. You can say plant, and it gives you plants, and then you can say, hey, AI, give me more plants, and it will choose. Plant might be not a good one. We might say moody. Moody isn't an actual AI match, but the results are, which is kind of cool. This AI results. So Raycast has been doing lots of cool stuff. New change log. Yeah, so this has been fun. You can edit your clipboard. You can do some cool stuff with the windows. Our buddy Steve, who's been on stream, was excited about that. Okay, all right, so let's see. Did this push again? Extension check. Fine. If you say so. So let's just go to Pixelmator, and we want 2000 by 1250. We can do that. 2000 by 1250. And we can connect a session. And we can, why don't we drop this guy in? Oh, that's not it. And what we can, we might as well just use this image, why not? Boom. So that's fun. We'll center this guy. Does it need to be bigger? No, that's the size it is. All right. So then go to C-Raycast extensions. Raycast extensions. By the way, this is Command-Shift-G in Finder for those that are like, how is he doing this? I've just been kind of playing around with this more because sesh and then metadata? Is it metadata or is it assets? Yeah. Export, replace. All right. So let's sesh fix image metadata image size. All right, so that's that. I like this experience though. This is cool that they like are validating what they want for their store. And my dogs are playing. They're validating everything they want for this to be valid. That was a bit of a mouthful. And everything that's wrong, they just aren't going to accept it until you fix it. So that's a great starting point. Yeah, we can see here a few failures. We'll get there. Boom, checked. Extension check should be good. Changelog enforcer. Close stale issues and PRs. PR bot. The security thing's interesting. I guess that they have some basic security things. Protect your app from malicious dependencies. Never seen this. Has anyone used Socket before? Pretty cool. Look at all these people. Figma, Vercel, MetaMask, Storybook, Tile.com. Cool. So this is interesting. I kind of want to save this for my own notes. Oh man, my dogs. All right, chat. Well, should we code something else while we're here? Perhaps we just code something else. We were talking about Go Releaser. I totally get that this is useful. Go Pro. I can make a brew tap. The brew taps aren't that hard to make. Because it's a binary, I'm just going to end up publishing it. So like homebrew publish version get of action. Yeah, this might be fine. Only 36 people like it. I don't know if that's going to be the best approach. Oh boy, paywall. We build it. We got our SHA check. Yeah, we got some questions coming up. So Ian's asking, how do I manage separate configs for different projects? So you have global config and you have local config. So let me show you. Great question. Totally valid question. All right. So like if we go to new main, this is a work project. New is like an abbreviation for the company I work for. So if we go to like my website and we do git config global user dot, I want to do this, get user dot email. Okay, great. We're going to use my personal email for this. But if we run the same command here, it gives me a different value. So on each repository, you have the, I can't open the git.git file here. Actually, I can probably open this one, but you won't see it. You can set the user email locally on a certain Git repository or globally on your whole system. And so, of course, it falls back to the global if it doesn't find it, but very useful. So my Git commits are signed with my work email for all the commits that are for my work project. And then you can have multiple email accounts assigned to your GitHub account. So in your GitHub account, you can like add as many emails as you want. Well, just go to your dot files, Ian, and run this command and see what pops up. If user.email is your work email in the dot files, there's something wrong. And so you can git config set user email, right? Or something like that. I think it's set. What is happening? Why am I getting this language error? It is messing everything up. Maybe there's an update. We will close this. And we don't need that. Interesting. So you've decided, totally valid, you've decided to do something like a path lookup. I've never done it this way. I've just gone into the projects that are work related and overwritten the local value with that. So I would assume something like this is supposed to do what you'd expect. Yeah, sorry, your code pasting isn't going to be very pretty, but that's my recommendation. I think the releasing of this I'm going to deal with outside of stream. I don't think that's super exciting for you guys. Well, you can let me know, but I'm not expecting that to be very exciting for you. But I know that you want this. I know all of you are itching to try this. So let's just go ahead and store drop print. So MVP commands, add the following commands and appropriate packages. All right, so we're going to do sesh list, sesh connect. I will work on issues. I will work on getting all of this to work as we'd expect, but we're going to just go ahead and do our good old change log here. We're going to say feature, add list and connect commands. And there you go. So chat, if you want to play around with this, you can download the Go project and try to run it. I think what will work here is git mux does this. He's using Go Releaser as well. Cool. So his hook is to tidy. He talks about the build environments. So is this like free? I would love to get this to you. Maybe I'll play around with this in the morning. Bruise, yeah. I think that's it. And so then in here, he has a workflow for CI/CD, build and publish. He triggers Go Releaser action. He releases a clean version of this. And then check brew tap. Cool. So that should totally work. All right, so maybe I will use Go Releaser. It seems like Pro is like an extra feature. Does he have pricing? Oh, I see. All right. So if this helps enough people, I might upgrade. Very cool. All right. Well, then that's it. We can start coding the next thing. So if we check this out and delete that and pull that in, we can say like, if connect, the one thing I haven't done yet, and what I love right now about T is I can say sesh. This dumb thing, what keeps happening? It's bash, right? Maybe I need to go to bash. Bash files. Oh, my bash RC got overwritten. en btf8. Dang. All right, I don't see an error, so that's a good start. We got a clean system, so we got a fresh start here. My doggy wants my attention. Do you want to say hello? Oh, they smell. They've been playing. We can do the clone. What I was going to say is I really like the T and then name of thing. And when you name something, if it's not a current session and it's not a directory, then it will find the first tmux result from that. And that's totally reasonable. That's something that we can do. So we can just add to the Zoxide library, and this should create a more seamless like feedback loop for me. So let's code something. I think we should do some development. Come on. There you go. Come on, Doug. All right, go on, lay down. So let's do it. It's been a short stream so far. Let's go to sesh. Let's create a Zoxide fallback. So it's one of those things that like we're going to do the connect command, and we always add to the Zoxide result, which is something that we did before. I should probably have this open just in case. So we've also got some bindings that can be played around with, but I think for me, it's just going to be a matter of giving all of you a reasonable starting point for a tmux binding, which is probably the simplest approach as we talked about. And so like this becomes sesh list -t, and -t will only list tmux sessions. And then this will be this becomes sesh list -z for only Zoxide results. And so this becomes really simple in playing around with it. And the find command too is just you put in whatever find command you want. And if you don't want it to be control F, you can make it whatever you want it to be. So there's a lot of flexibility here, but this is where it comes. All right, so if we don't pass the flag, we are going to query for the result. And if there is no result, the way we do this is if there is a result, then we assign it. We basically say, okay, this is the result. This is the one that you're going to use. If there is no result, these are all sort of fallbacks. You can see here that it's an else statement. And so let's figure out where we want to put this. So we determine the session name. And then we let the full path be coming from the choice. So it's one of those things that it may not be a full path. So it's one of those like determine full path. If not full path, get a Zoxide result. That's kind of the thinking here. So instead of determine name, we're going to do some sort of determine full path. So let's just do that. So determine name. We had the ability to session. I feel like this is all name related. I think I'm going to call this name.go on the session, and then check if any true, sessions, convert to valid name from path, name from get, determine name. All right, so all this goes here. It shouldn't change the actual build successful. So what's cool about Go, what I've been learning is like anything that lives in the session directory and is attached to the name session, it all plays out fine externally. So we want session path. So session path is what is going to help us determine. We'll close that. We'll close that. And so instead of dir full path, we're gonna, well, what file is this path? All right, so packages, session, and then we're gonna say func determine path. And it's gonna be a choice, and it's gonna return an error or string. So the full path comes from determine, session determine path, and we pass in the choice. So you'll see a pattern growing here. The name is determined from the full path. We add the full path. So this is always going to error. Let's go ahead and if error does not equal null, then we're going to say could not determine the session path. Couldn't determine the session name. What's up, Full Flux? Thumbs up. I think my MacBook will try to thumbs up. Will it work? Yes. Look at that. Hey, I don't know what that was, but that was cool. All right, what's going on? Good. Glad to see you pop in. Thanks for hanging out. We're just coding a new feature. We want to determine the path of a choice, and there's going to be some logic here that we got to mix together to make it work. So what I want to know, full path null, what I want to know is if full path returns, doesn't return what we expect, then, oh, I see. So we're going to have to kind of overwrite this. This is our directory package. And now we are going to say that this returns that or error. And so now we need to return null error has prefix, replace the thing, and this gets returned null. And I kind of want to return something if the full path, I think at some point I was like, okay, if the full path isn't there, then we just return what we had. So we kind of like overload this with the replace. So I kind of need to know if this is a path, which we were doing on a later point in the project. So this is a bit of finessing what's here. So we determine path. The path comes out of that. I kind of like full path more. What's up, Marcos? Here, we can remove that. Yeah, Marcos is wondering, what is this? What are you talking about? So feel free to go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to post this link for you guys. Many of you know what this is. Some of you won't. So one of my most popular blog posts is Smart Session Manager. And this guy is basically what this is. But it's been growing, it's been changing, it's been evolving. We've got about 200 plus stars on YouTube, which is great, like 250 now, I think, which is really exciting. But it has a kind of an awkward name, and it's only a tmux plugin, and it's like a 200-line bash script, and that just wasn't great. So, and every time we wanted new features, it was like, all right, go rewrite the bash script. So it's pretty limiting. And so I've decided to rewrite it in Go CLI. So we're using the Go programming language, and we're kind of rewriting the bash script, and we'll be extending new features as I've got some really great ideas, and I want some more contributors. And contributing's been a little bit clunky because it's like one big file. And so this will change things for sure. And so that's what we're up to. That's what we're doing. All right, let's close that. Let's go back to the code. So I guess I will return this as is. We will determine the path. So if this is not absolute, is it file path? This is the project I have. All right. So basically, if not absolute path, get dockside result. And then we'll pass that on as the path because we just don't have the path yet. So we did this before. Name from path. So the name from path is a lot to do with determining. Interesting. Do I might have to marry these things together more. And what I mean by that is like the name and the full path. Maybe we need to determine the session, and maybe determining the session is a combination of both of these things. And so when we go here to the connect command, we do a connect. This is like my abstraction. And so instead of all this, we might need to say determine session. And the thing that comes out of it is this thing, which at this point, my session, session is, come on, session. Looks like this. And so maybe I just need to say, yeah, this is what we're dealing with. Do I actually ever use type? Maybe I just call this display name and absolute path. What do you think, chat? I think this would work. A session is always a display name and an absolute path. I can generate it on the fly. And maybe I still have path and name are two pieces. It's like absolute path and display name. Maybe we simplify this to name and path. Can we add code comments? How to add doc blocks to a Go struct? I don't mind adding code comments to this. Okay. The display name, the absolute file, something like that. And I guess I'm just finding over time we just kind of abstract more, but not in a way that it's annoying or like a problem. But like in the case of connect, we can connect anywhere in our Go program now. Like it doesn't have to be in the CLI, it can be anywhere we want. And so instead of doing all this, now we're just going to end up with name and what do we call it? Path? Oh, this is a tmux thing specifically. So we do need that. Session is name and path. Keep it simple. Our sources are tmux and zoxide. So no matter what, we can always end up with a name and a path. This is my way of listing sessions, which I've been happy with. So let's call a determine.go. And let's just say that we are in the package called session and a func called determine. And we're going to return session. We're going to return a session. So this becomes public. And we're going to return a session or an error. So that won't work. We need a session. And I'm getting better at Go. So what is this? We need rights. So you end up calling that. And we say name. Is it equals or? Yeah. Hello. Path world. This should be valid, right? Oh. Ah, there's always commas there. All right. And so we're going to just take all this logic that's in the connect, and we're going to do something similar here, but we're going to do it all internally. And then for now, we always connect to a tmux session, and we're kind of getting rid of some of the dependencies or changing the dependency structure anyway. And so my session determine will do something like this. We determine the full path, we determine the whole name, and these things don't need to be public because all that we care about is getting this right. So the choice will always be a string because that's coming from, typically it's coming from our fuzzy finder type tools. So this is a selection and it's just a string. It's always a string. It doesn't matter right now what technology we're using in order to interact with it. This is also a string. And so I guess I do have to make these public path name. Determine path, determine name. This is one of those things that like connect. We're only going to do that there. And then we're going to end up with a session tmux session. I'm fine with this. we're going to just call this directly, and we're going to call this session or error, and we're going to determine the session from the choice. And this becomes sesh.path. And then this becomes session.name and session.path. Nice and simple. If here is not that, we do that. Then we connect. Now, most of this logic should be the same, but you can see that we kind of took like 8 lines of code or 10 lines of code or whatever, and we brought it down to just these few lines. And now our session determiner will always happen here. I'm thinking we don't have any cyclical dependencies because the connection package will never depend on. No, the other way around. The determine package will never depend on the connect package. We're never going to do that. That's the way it's been designed. But Zoxide is probably going to be shared between a couple of these. So we determine the full path. We determine the path name. If name comes back as nothing, the name gets determined off of the path. That is kind of how it works at this point. And then this is coming up here. Basically, I'm going to say like if there's no path and there's no session, then we need to create it. So go reach for Zoxide, go query, go give me a result, and we're going to use that result. So that's what's going to happen. It's pretty straightforward. Name. Maybe I'll start with this. Can I just print this like that? Is determine name going to potentially return an error? This one I'm less worried about. This one's kind of like, hey, if there's no name, then we're going to throw. All right. And so now name becomes name and path becomes path. And return no error. So again, I think that this becomes return nil error. It's like if we don't get it, then we're going to return that. Determine name, session. What did I do wrong here? I can return maybe a session or an error. Maybe not. Maybe this was simpler. I don't know my way around the language well enough, so that may be what we stick to. So we know that it exits if I don't have what I want. So always return on failure error. These are the same. You guys are quiet today. Anyone got anything else going on their minds, or they just enjoy watching me? I know a lot of you put me on in the background, which is fine. I think maybe I'll get rid of this bad boy. I've actually noticed lately that with Golang, I can zoom in quite a bit, and like it's still very readable, which I didn't expect would be a good side effect to being a Go developer. Let's see if this thing gives me. Yeah, look at that. It gives us the path. You're working. It's your work day. That's fine. I get it. I'm just coding. Yeah, I know you're not one to be shy, so it's all good. All right, let's just determine the path. So basically, get name from path. if path is absolute, then we return it. Result isn't a thing, is it? Maybe I'll do this. No, I think maybe I'll do that here. Result. It's not result, right? The full path we get, and if it's an absolute, then we return it. Yep. And then if it's not if it's not an absolute path, then we determine if it is a session. If tmux is session, this is what feels weird. Like visually it looks weird, so we may have to name some things differently, perhaps. If tmux is a session, then we don't know the path. Here's the thing. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy. We're doing this so that we can get a path if we don't have one. But I've done my research, and generally you can't get the path of a tmux session. Not really, not from outside. Because you create like a sort of base directory when you create the session. But once the session's created, tmux hasn't written a thing that says, hey, fetch the list of sessions and please give me the path of this session. Like they don't have that last I checked. So we do list session. And we want a format section, take me to the format section. You've got all these formats to work with. Now, are they going to give me some? Okay. Client, command, copy, cursor, hook. I think there's going to be a few sessions. Come on. Session path. We do have the working directory of a session. That would be cool. That means the more that we use it. So whatever I read was out of date, I guess. So if I ask for a session and it returns a path, then the path is good. That's it. Let's see if it works. So I got some improvements to tmux. Session path. All right, so then that means, what is the thing? This thing is, it's not is, which one is it? Attach session, switch session, new session. Where is my function? I had a function that is session. Here we go. So we list all the sessions. If it turns out to be true, then we return it. So this becomes session path. And session path means that if it's more than 3, then we'll grab that. Let's see, did we break anything? I bet we broke a ton. Go run. Choose. Yeah, all right, so we're not even stable now. Yeah, you're just hanging out, Andres, you're just listening. So we've got our new session path. We need to see if it actually outputs what we'd expect. So session path is session. What do we end up returning? Truthy. And then we got a new func called session path. And session path will ask if the thing that I gave it is a session. Found session is session. And then if not valid session, return no. And then if it is a valid session, I want to, interesting, display message. Does this actually work? You have to provide it a session though. Display message, totally. Target client, target pane. So that would be a specific pane. And that's where it gets hairy. It's like the panes may not actually be what you think they are. And so you can't reliably use those. So wherever I found is session, I might just reuse that logic and kind of repeat myself here just a little bit. So instead of asking if it is a session, I will return the session itself. Okay, let's do it. So we're going to do this slightly differently. We're going to say, get me the sessions and return nil if nil. All right, we're just going to return a string or not. It's like maybe return nil. And if not, then we're gonna, this is also code that I think needs to be improved on. Session. So what? I'm gonna match the name of the thing I passed with the name of the session itself. Is that what I have to do? I think so. Which would be interesting if like these were just the full path. But that definitely gets annoying. So this needs to be a strut. That's the best way to move forward with this, is like, I don't want to return list sessions. I want to return. It would be fun to like add like, this was attached this long ago kind of thing. That would be fun. And I can make tmux be more interesting in its output if I decided that I wanted to structure this, which is kind of the direction I was going anyway. Now with Zoxide really only gives you paths. That's all it is. I could imagine with Zoxide that we, instead of us providing a simple converted strings, we maybe could also do a strut and be like, this is the display name, and the display name is ~thing. So I can already sort of imagine that perhaps we transfer this into something a bit more complex, maybe even JSON. And so you could do clever things with JSON. All right, let's do it. So in order for this to be more useful, it will give us a score. Yes, absolutely, Ian. So the score is something people have asked about. And it may be one of those things that I let you, the developer, pass in a similar string to this one. And there are certain values you're allowed to put in. And whatever you decide to put in, we can use that in order to interpret what gets spit out, like the other side of the function. When the result's chosen, we can choose the result still off of this request. The only thing that I'm imagining, though, is if you don't include a specific identifier that's important, we're going to run into problems. So I like it. How much time do I have? That means it's a lot of work. I got time. I got some time. It's going to take a lot of mental fortitude to not work on this much tomorrow. I gotta wait till the workday's over to work on this. Okay, so let's take a step back. Session. A session is a very abstract term when it comes to sesh. Part of me thinks that maybe we could call this a sesh, meaning it is an identifier on the sesh package. Here are all your seshes, but that feels kind of dirty and not a great name. And there's just going to be a baseline here. So the baseline is every session needs to have a location and a name, but no, not sesh. Okay, that's fine. I appreciate the feedback. So every session has a name and a path. At this point, I kind of like the idea of source. And is there a concept of enums or string or mixed string types? Maybe Andres, maybe you know, but is there like an enum concept? There's a variable. Enums can be defined by manually declaring const values. In this example, we identify the representatives as, yeah, so there's these like constants, and you can use but a constant is like a value, isn't it? Right. So it's going to say, however, if you're referring to a type that is on hold, that can hold a mixed type, like a string or an int, Go does not directly support unions or variant types. All right. All right, that's fine. I guess over the long haul, enums can be expensive, and I personally don't like TypeScript enums at all, and I want them to just go away entirely. And you can tell my boss at work, he's like, yeah, I know Josh doesn't like enums. So maybe that's not the best way to reach for it, but we have like a source, and a source is a string. So these are tmux or Zoxide. So it is this source, it is this name, it is this path, and then how do I use generics on a strut? Is it a strut, or is it going to be like an interface and I create classes based off of the interfaces? I don't mind this idea. How about class inheritance, where I want to add additional fields on a strut or class with I don't want to be too specific. Not polymorphism, although I guess it's kind of similar to polymorphism. Polymorphism is more like changing the thing. Interesting. So they're saying put session on your thing and then add fields. I love this. Yes, let's do it. So session is source name path. But well, I know, like I appreciate that. Like you like avoiding abbreviations, but you can see here that Go likes abbreviations. Like the format package is a built-in package. It's FMT. Even down here, E equals employee. I don't love the single letter things, but it seems pretty common that you do this single letter thing, and then you do e.name, e.age, e.thing. Like it then radically simplifies the amount of characters it takes to output things like this. So the thing that I'm dealing with right now in my head is this idea that when I list all of the Zoxide sessions, I end up with all of the potential fields that there could be. And will the Go CLI be capable of knowing what I guess if I pass things around as JSON or some other similar format, that I could have multiple key values. Nice. Yeah, so Andres is saying single letter formats are better for short life variables. Totally. Like in this one, like boom, you have this, and then 2 lines later you do this with it, and then that's it. There's no more to do with it. And then if there's more to do with this thing, then maybe give it a better name. And that's fair. I like that. I like that approach. I've been sort of, as I learn this new language, leaning into what do other people do with this language, right? So maybe I don't love it. I don't usually ever do this except for indexes, which is really common, right? The I index, IJK, convention. But if I have source name path, these are the 3 things that always matter. And then when I receive it, I can say, is this session a type of this? Okay, then I expect other fields. Like we were talking about Zoxide having the score, the like algorithm score, and then we have tmux having things like the last time it was attached, which is great. I like that. I kind of want to use that. And so if we do sesh connect list fs zf, it takes a value list cf. Part of me thinks that I can present this to the user, but the part of me that is a little bit concerned and unsure of how things are is like when you go to choose this selection, it just chooses a string. Yeah, metadata. Yeah, metadata is where I'm going with this. But what I'm not sure of yet is if this is a string and we do like a connect command, the connect command, right? What we're going to do here, command connect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say pass in an argument first. First is well, it's more than sorting. Once it's been chosen and I run connect. When I choose connect, if all I have is a string, there's no way to know, is this a tmux session? Is this a Zoxide result? Is this something else? And making this tool more powerful in that you could use multiple session tooling at the same time, which might not be a good idea. That may overload the whole point of this. But my point still is I want to connect with this, and I need more than just the path, and I don't want to have to recreate all of that data again. Maybe I have to, simply because when I list, I return a string, and when I connect, I give a string, and so that's all I have. Yeah. So Andres, I have an interface. I'm on board with what you're saying. The interface, what creates a class of some kind, and then when we choose a specific item from list, how do we pass that to connect if we keep it decoupled? if we like allow this sort of architecture where I can choose from a singular list, and then I want to, especially if this list changes and becomes more complex. I guess that's the whole point of all this, right? My only thought right now is that we go back to the sesh choose pattern where FCF accepts, if we look at choose, this is super helpful because this becomes a way different tool if we can make this more than just strings. And that's what I've been trying to work on, but in order to recreate it, I just have to stick to this pattern. So choosing actually passes FCF in, and then we take this pipe and we pass in sessions. So we write to sessions. So standard in becomes all of the sessions in their singular form. And so part of me is thinking in this workflow, specifically, in this workflow, I'm allowed to use the name of the session, whatever it is, whether it's got metadata in it or not, and use it as like a key to say, based off of the selection, we have this thing choice, we can get choice from session struts array kind of thing. So I go, okay, from the thing I chose beforehand, before I gave you sessions strings, I have now all the metadata tied to this thing. And that's probably the real power here. But I don't think my brain can handle that tonight. I don't think I'm capable of really working through all of that in one setting, especially after 2 hours now of doing this. So it's probably best that I sleep on this, but I think the idea is going to be extremely helpful. And when it comes to like configuring FCF, yeah, a map might work. So tell me more about Golang maps. Data types associated with one type, a value type, with values of another type. Yeah. So then this thing, key, becomes the identifier. And then it outputs a strut. And the strut could be a mixed type. Can I make the maps result? The result maps key value be a mixed strut type. Huh. So you can do type assertions. So I would do some basic type assertion on type, which would give me oh, hey, you chose this oxide result, or oh, hey, you chose, that would simplify my logic for sure. Because that's kind of where I've been landing lately is like, ugh, what do I call this? Like, what does this become? And furthermore, we haven't talked about this much yet, but I kind of love this idea of possibly adding SQLite or something to the project and letting session management live outside Zoxide and be bigger than that. Be like, instead of just a directory and a score, it's more things than that. Like, I always want this session to be named this thing. And if I ever choose this thing again, use the session name that I've already defined, like that kind of stuff. So that would be cool. You would use the session CLI to interact with that tooling. So big thoughts. The question is, how do I go about designing this so that there's a simple, repeatable pattern? So there's going to be like a selection name, and then there's going to be an actual session name, and then there's going to be the absolute path. The absolute path is probably the most common denominator here. But my brain hurts. What you don't know is I've already written a few hours of Go today before stream. So there's a lot of just me thinking about this stuff. So I think 2 hours is going to be it for me. Maybe I'll go play a video game, watch some YouTube, watch some TikTok, do something to kind of let my brain go with all of this. So I want to kind of ship this, but I kind of want it to be way better than it was before. And there's no rush. There's no deadline for me right now that like I got to ship this thing by a certain time. So I could ship it as is, but if the API breaks too much, I don't want people to like switch to it. And then I'd be like, oh, hey, version 2.0, version 3.0, version 4.0 comes out, and you got to go change your workflow. So that's my kind of main concern. So I'll balance kind of being practical and not overwhelming myself with work with feedback. Okay. But at this point now, trying to get the Zoxide result, I'm kind of repeating myself in the Go code. Like I'm like, step 1, determine what this is. Step 2, come up with its name. Well, guess what? Step 3 is determine more about the thing that I determined in step 1, only because currently kind of the way that I pass things around, when we list things, we do something one way, and then when we connect things, we have to repeat ourselves and do it again. So me kind of talking through this meme was just a thought of like, can I do it differently than the way the bash script worked? Because we have this powerful programming language that has memory and state and understands things a lot more complex than just, standard out. So thank you for the feedback. I think shipping it is a great idea. I think moving this past the MVP flag is going to be super important. Hopefully the Raycast thing gets merged soon. And for people that are like, I really miss this feature that was in the T Smart Manager, and I really need it back, then yeah, we'll put effort in the things that get flagged by the team. So I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a good New Year so far. And I'm going to go. I'm tired. I'm tired of digging holes. So this was fun. I'll see you guys. I'll be here next week, most likely, like always. And I'm sure I'll be making lots of progress before then. Thanks for being here. See ya.